My name is Roberto Melli. I work for Saipem. It's an international EPC contractor. So we are, of course, working for many clients and specifically covering the geographical area for Middle East, okay, specifically Saudi Arabia.
Great. So let's start by just addressing the title of the conference, which is Adapting to Uncertainty. I just wondered if you could talk about what you consider to be the main uncertainties that the oil industry faces in the years to come.
Yeah. So today we are talking mainly about gas, and one of the main uncertainties is the geopolitical associated to the gas. Gas is still a resource that is not everywhere available in an economical way. So, and it requires infrastructure, either pipelines or terminals for liquefying the gas and delivering all around the world. Therefore, the geopolitical stability is one of the key elements for the development of the gas. As well as most of the gas is also in offshore fields, so we can see higher investments to pull out the gas from the offshore fields, especially those in deep waters.
Okay, and the geopolitical uncertainties is a factor in all of that, clearly, yeah.
Say it again, sorry?
The geopolitical uncertainties are a factor in all of that.
In all of that, yeah. We have also the issue of the sour gas. Yep. Sour gas is it's a fact. Most of the gas that, for example, in Saudi Arabia, they are developing for the domestic use is sour. So it requires also special treatment and more investments in terms of material, in terms of downstream processing and disposing or reselling or in any way the associated, let's say, sulfur.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. You slightly preempted my question. Now I was going to ask you about the focus on gas and how safe a bet that is, what the difficulties are. You mentioned sour gas being one of them. What about gas demand kind of in the future, because there is this sort of renewed focus on gas?
Gas demand, I would say it will increase, but the renewables will play a very massive role. At least this is what I think, because of course they are independent from geopolitical and availability in different countries. You can produce energy everywhere. Renewable energy everywhere at the lower costs. The only issue is how to store the energy from renewables, but I'm pretty much sure that the industry will come soon with a very effective and reliable way to store energy in such a way to have constant supply during the day, during the night, during the winter, during the summer, means to have an average constant supply.
But the gas projects that you work on, that Saipem is kind of working on, presumably gas demand is not a problem that you kind of envisage in the short term.
In the short term, no, especially in a country like Saudi Arabia, in which the tendency is to sell oil, so to keep the oil production constant, of course in line with the OPEC regulations and limitations, but to cope up the internal demand with an high increase of gas. So what we are experiencing in Saudi Arabia is producing gas for the domestic use, and to sustain also the 2030 vision promoted by the royal family for increasing the let's say the capability of the country to diversify, and therefore the industry. So they will rely upon the gas for the internal industry and the downstream petrochemicals and so on.
For the foreseeable future?
For the next 20, 30 years, yes, absolutely.
Okay. So we're likely to see gas demand in countries like Saudi Arabia probably rise quite sharply, yeah? Not and won't be threatened particularly by renewable energies, yeah. Okay. And just lastly, I think maybe we can just sort of round it off with your view on, I don't know, talking about uncertainties. Obviously, the oil price is one of the kind of main uncertainties that the industry faces. What kind of oil price do you think is needed to kind of, is needed for the kind of investment that the industry requires in the years to come?
In the years to come, it's quite a difficult question. Yeah, I would say that, of course, what we experienced during 2008, 2009, the peak in the oil price will never appear again. And of course, oil price lower than $40, $50 is going to be very challenging for the market. So if I have to, so my educated guess, so if I have to do a forecast, we are in between the $150, the crazy $150 and the $50. So somewhere around $80, $90 will help in sustaining the investments. But oil, considering the new technologies and the renewables, will be a player, but a less player than the other sources.